Norway's $47 billion floating highway. Norway is now working on its largest road project in history. This $47 billion road system will not only transform how people move throughout the country, but it will also be the world's first floating highway. Such a statement attracts a slew of inquiries. Norway will become the global leader in international travel as a result of this high-tech answer to a long-standing challenge. We narrow everything you need to know about the $47 billion floating highway in today's video. But before we start, please leave a like, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos. And now, with no further ado, let's get started. The land of fjords, as Norway is known, equips us with wonderfully magical and colorful landscapes, owing to the narrow and deep inlets of water flanked by sheer cliffs. However, when it comes to connecting cities with highways, the same topographical wonders face serious challenges. Norway is an environmentally concerned country that requires solutions that will aid both transportation and the preservation of its beautiful fjords. However, it won't be able to maintain the status quo. Floating submerged tunnels, connected and supported by floating pontoons on the water's surface, the world's largest suspension bridge with towers 435 meters tall, are among the solutions that will have to cater to the needs of cars and sea traffic while also keeping an affordable budget in mind. A floating bridge is being considered as well. A combination floating bridge and tunnel is another option. It would be the first of its kind in the world. Another option is a massive cable-stayed bridge with 4 pillars connecting it to the seafloor. With a groundbreaking $47 billion infrastructure investment to make the route ferry-free, the Norwegian government hopes to cut that time in half. The proposal includes bridges and the world's deepest and longest rock tunnel, which is 392 meters deep and 27 kilometers long, and is excavated through bedrock beneath the seafloor. The building of submerged floating tubes that are 30 meters below the water's surface is the most ambitious feature. According to Kirsty Kavalheim Dunham, a project manager at NPRA, the journey between Kristiansand and Trondheim is part of the E39, which is an important route for Norway. The E39 runs along the southwestern Norwegian coast, combining highways, roads, and ferry journeys. This region accounts for more than half of Norway's export goods. There will be 3 suspension bridges and 5 floating bridges erected. Floating bridges, which are supported by pontoons, have been built by nations such as Norway and the United States. Existing engineering solutions, however, will not suffice when a fjord is deeper than 1 kilometer or wider than 5 kilometers. The seafloor is too deep to drill through for a rock tunnel or to lay the foundations for a suspension bridge, because they're too vulnerable to adverse weather conditions such as heavy waves and currents. Floating bridges don't always work. The floating tunnels come into play here. The tunnels are held in place by cables that are either anchored to the seabed or tethered to pontoons that are sufficiently spaced apart to allow boats to pass through. They'd be made of concrete and work like regular tunnels, moving vehicles from one end of a fjord to the other. 100 feet below sea level, waves and currents are weaker than those at the surface. Furthermore, because much of the infrastructure is hidden, a floating tunnel has a low environmental impact. In addition, it produces less noise than vehicles on a bridge. For those who live in the vicinity, that would be a great benefit. Infrastructure plans will result in incredible fjord crossing solutions. Consider the $2 billion Banknofjordan Tunnel, a 27-kilometer undersea tunnel built 390 meters below sea level. It will be the world's longest and deepest tunnel. The Sulafjorden Bridge will span a 4-kilometer stretch of water a little further on. At a 400-meter negative elevation, its central pillar would link to the seabed. The crossing over Sognefjord, however, is the most difficult. It's Norway's largest fjord, with a width of 3,700 meters and a depth of 1,300 meters. The development of the E39 route is also a challenge, as ferries are weather-dependent and too slow for the 21st century. The government wants to improve traffic flow. Therefore, it's considering ways to connect land segments with asphalt. And it isn't simple. With a length of 26.7 kilometers and a depth of 390 meters, the Rogfast Tunnel will be the world's longest and deepest road tunnel, cutting travel time by 40 minutes. It's scheduled to open in 2026 with tolls in place for the first 20 years of service. The tunnel's construction began in 2018 and is expected to be completed by 2026 for $2 billion. Surprisingly, this new venture appears to significantly reduce the time it takes to go across the country. Areas of Norway that previously took 21 hours to travel between will now take half that time. Its very existence eliminates many ferry crossings and provides drivers with a direct path to destinations that would otherwise be difficult to reach. The ferries will be replaced with contemporary bridges and floating tunnels as part of the concept. The 100-foot under-the-surface tubes are part of the total roadway and will provide a more predictable means of transportation. Cities around the country will be connected like never before, making hospitals, schools, and even jobs more accessible to inhabitants. Vehicles will be able to travel from Trondheim in the north of Norway all the way down the western coast to Kristiansand and possibly Oslo in the southeast, with the opportunity to stop at all the important coastal cities along the way by the completion of the project. What's worth noting about the E39 is that it's not yet a continuous freeway. It runs the length of Norway's western coast. However, due to deep and large fjords, ferries are required at crossing places, preventing continuous and unbroken driving over the entire highway. The project could end up costing significantly more than originally predicted, leaving many people wondering why the country doesn't just build new roads or bridges instead of embarking on such a large-scale endeavor. The explanation for this is the weather. Due to Norway's extreme weather conditions, road construction can be challenging, and even when new roads are built, they're frequently blocked for safety reasons. Ferries, on the other hand, are notorious for abruptly suspending service owing to high winds and snowfall. By 2050, it's hoped that this floating roadway will be open to traffic. The current goal is to skip all ferry crossings and arrive at 1,100 kilometers. One part of the project will be a significant engineering challenge to overcome. Engineers will face a problem in navigating the different fjords, which are long, narrow, and deep sea inlets. The Fjordan crossing is the most difficult crossing owing to the severe environment near the Atlantic Ocean, Tor explained. The goal for these bridges is for them to be sturdy enough to withstand the constant wind and wave battering, while also avoiding weariness. Engineers must keep this in mind while still keeping expenses and carbon footprint to a minimum. According to Millionaire, the major hazards in the project are explosions, fire, and overloading. Hence, thorough testing is required. According to CASA researcher Martin Kristoffersen, NPRA is collaborating with the Norwegian University of Science and Technology's Center for Advanced Structural Analysis, CASA, to study how tubular concrete constructions respond when subjected to internal blasts. The experiments will assist the team in determining what would happen to the tunnel structure if a truck carrying dangerous items exploded within. The continual water pressure that surrounds the floating tubes appears to lessen the damage caused by explosions, according to preliminary findings. The NPRA team is also examining how the tunnels would fare if submarines collided with them, in collaboration with the Norwegian Navy. While the exact site of the submerged floating tunnels has yet to be determined, Millionaire estimates that the project will be completed in slightly over 30 years. The enhanced E39 will make more of the West Coast accessible to tourists, while the tunnels may become attractions in and of themselves, especially if they're global first. As Norway continues to work on the country's largest infrastructure project, the rest of the world can only wonder what they'll do in the next years. The project's completion will need the ultimate road trip. And that's all for now. Well, what are your thoughts about the Norwegian floating highway? Comment below. Let's engage. Also, please leave a like, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos. And with that, it's goodbye. See you in the next video.